Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Redmen TV and your latest episode of Oppo Preview. My name is Dan Club. I'm delighted to be joined by former Nottingham Forest defender Luke Chambers. Well, Luke, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good. All good, thanks.
Top man, thanks so much for joining me. Yeah, massive game, absolutely massive game. Largely due to the fact that your former club are absolutely flying in the form table in particular, but just outright in the Premier League table. I mean, it's been remarkable the job Nuno Espirito Santo's done there. You must be watching on with absolute awe. The fact that exceeding expectations, punching above their weight, all of the above, really.
Yeah, I think not just me being a former player and having an affinity with the club, but every single football fan across the country are thinking, I wish that could be us. And I think that would include most Forest fans. I think they've been absolutely remarkable. And you mentioned their form, like unbelievable. Last six games they've won, not conceding goals, scoring a plenty, goals from all over the pitch. What he's done there, like you say, the job, and then he had a few setbacks. Obviously, he went to Spurs for a bit, and Espirito Santo he's always been for me. What he did at Wolves was always the proof that I needed that he was a tremendous manager. So what he's doing there, listen, you can't say it doesn't surprise you because Forest wouldn't have expected to be where they currently are now over the last few years, especially what they've been through and the transition, the club coming back to the Premier League. So yeah, unbelievable job so far.
Yeah, most definitely is. Yeah, and they're having conversations around what's to come and potentially European football further down the line, as opposed to like you touched upon there in previous seasons, thinking the threat of relegation loomed large, really, and now it's a completely different ball game, completely different landscape. I wanted to touch on sort of the defensive solidity in particular with you, of course, as I mentioned, it's our former defender, former centre back, and a lot of what has sort of underpinned this Nottingham Forest success this season has been that defensive record. Only 18 goals conceded in 20 appearances across the back four, really, really strong, really, really adept.
Yeah.
But the two centre half, the partnership Murillo and Milenkovic, they've been again the bedrock of this football team, haven't they?
Yeah, and I think we always talk about it, and you can take Liverpool as a prime example. The defence they've had has been there for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, and that's what they've built their team on. But yeah, Forest is exactly that, and bringing a player in like Milenkovic, Murillo, who's been a unbelievable signing for the club. Then obviously you're bringing in Aina on the right, and they're sort of dipping in and out with Nico Williams at left back at times, but they've got brilliant players defensively, but also they can switch it. And when they go to attack as well, it's almost like the model of a Liverpool. And I think when I see them play, I see their fullbacks getting forward. But when they need to get back and be solid, they've got the two midfielders in front of them, which have been a revelation again. Two young players, and Yates has been there for a long time. Elliot Anderson has been an absolutely fantastic signing from Newcastle. So I think it's that consistency which you need in any division to be successful. You have to have that settled back four goalkeeper that are all on the same page. And I think they've really found that, which has allowed their attacking players to go and do what they've done because they know get behind the ball. We're very, very difficult to beat, but the pace they possess on the break and how clinical they've been is probably why they are where they are. But that the two centre halves, like you mentioned, when you play with someone week in, week out, you know their game, you know what they're going to do, you know what your strengths are, and also your partner knows what your strengths are, and then it balances off. And they've definitely found that sort of chemistry that they've been crying out for the last few years, I'd say.
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah, they complement each other brilliantly. And it's a daunting proposition, really, heading into this game from Liverpool perspective. Certainly when you factor in what happened at Anfield, like, you know, has struck upon something this season by and large that clearly works. He's found a way, he's found a formula, and he most definitely did in that game, as I mentioned there. So yeah, not a straightforward proposition for Liverpool by any stretch of imagination, regardless of our players and our firepower. You touched the word clinical there, Luke. I need to talk about Chris Woods momentarily. I've already said former centre half. He would have been a nightmare for you, I imagine. Big, strong, 6 foot plus, finishes well, good with his feet, but also just a big old presence as well, isn't he? And his form this season, we've already spoken about Forest generally, but he's been the absolute focal point of it. He's been superb, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think when he was brought in, it was almost a little stopgap for when they signed him. But for me, I played with Woodsy. He came on loan to Ipswich when I was there,
Yeah.
and he was just coming back from injury, so he definitely wasn't the player he is now. But the way I think he was always a bit of a target man, but now he's really leaned up and he chases the ball. He closes people down. He's a nuisance. What he does so well, which I think teams at the top end have, is that focal point where he occupies two centre backs, which allows Morgan Gibbs-White, Alanga, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and the rest of them to have that extra space where they can be 1v1, can exploit people on the break, but he can score all types of goals, and his transformation and his consistency since signing for Forest has been absolutely remarkable. The only thing where people might not be sniffing around him in January is because of his age, but he's proven that age is just a number so far, and he's absolutely loved up there, and rightly so. He has been the main man, and I think it's helped playing for Nuno that he knows he's the main man. It's not you're in for 5, you're out for 5. It's you're in regardless. I know what you bring to the team, and that's what you need as a striker, to have that confidence that your manager really, really trusts you, and he's obviously rewarding that.
Yeah, and he ran with it, hasn't he? Absolutely, yeah. And you're right. I think if he was 23, 24, Chris Ward, we'd be having different conversations in January about him potentially. But yeah, he's been absolutely remarkable, a revelation. And again, a real sort of key reason as to why Forest are where they are right now. I want to talk about the stadium and the occasion really around this game, because you've played a lot of times, over 200 appearances for Forest. A lot of them would have come at the City Ground, of course. A club steeped in history, obviously European Cup winners from back in the day. Back in the big leagues now when it comes to actually sniffing around that sort of competition once again. Liverpool come into town. This is going to be raucous because they're already living in dreamland when you look at the league table. But this is just another opportunity for them, really. And as I say, it's quite a throwback football ground. It's a bit old school. The fans can really be on top of you. It's going to have all of that, isn't it, this game?
And it is. If you haven't been to the City Ground before, you're missing something. That is something you have to experience as a football fan. As a player, yeah, like I was very, very fortunate to play there for so long and captain the team, and it's incredible. And when it is bouncing, there is nothing like it. Anfield to sort of rival it, certainly, because what they do have is that history, which obviously the whole people and community from Nottingham and surrounding areas are Forest fans, and they go far and wide all over the world. And they're now in a position where they can talk about those achievements that they had all them years ago, that they are back where they belong. And every football club thinks they belong at the top of the league, but they truly have a fan base that are so connected. They've had a few years where it was a little bit disconnected, but it feels like the ownership, the players, the management and the fans now really see every single game at the City Ground as being such an opportunity. And this game will be no different. And I think what they are doing is everyone's like, oh, you can make Europe, you can make Europe. But they're actually probably believing it, but also they're not putting any pressure on themselves because they've achieved far and above what they probably set out to do in this season. So playing Liverpool home, they just take it as another occasion, but they know if they're on it, the fans will definitely be on it. It's going to be a very difficult game for Liverpool, but the way Liverpool have been, it's another opportunity for them to just sweep another team aside.
Well, let's hope and see. Arne Slot obviously has spoken a lot about Forest because that was his only defeat for a large part of the season until last week against Spurs, of course, in the Cup. But yeah, he will have his plans and have his ways to try and counteract what Forest do. But I wanted to ask you, in terms of the approach, will it be more of the same from Nuno? And has there been a difference in styles from the home to the away? Because obviously you came to Anfield, set up, not to put too fine a point on it, low block, very difficult to break down. And then Callum Hudson-Odoi on the counter does the damage up the other end. At home, with the shackles off a bit, if you like, because again, they're currently sat in third in the Premier League, flying high, crest of a wave when it comes to the form. Do you think they will be a little bit more adventurous, a bit more front-footed, or will it be, this works, let's just stick to what we do?
It's very difficult because when you're a player and you get sucked into that atmosphere and you think, well, yeah, we're right up there in the Premier League. We don't need to be fearing anyone. I think he'll really have to reiterate that process and that approach that they've had. They can't change anything. They have to keep doing what they're doing. And their form, and you say their style, has been very similar home and away because they are comfortable sitting in and they can soak things up. But on the break, what I mentioned before, the quality they have with the passing of the two central midfield players, Morgan Gibbs-White, on the turnover of possession, he finds himself in loads of space. So that'll be the interesting battle that I think Liverpool will have to be really, really switched on with, because if they do commit too many men forward, knowing that they want to win the game, it's going to be a difficult evening because those boys on the break, they're not ones where you can get back in and recover your position. Once they're gone, as you've seen. And I think they'll be comfortable playing in that way. And I think it is a transition in football that we're seeing at the minute, that it's not always about possession. It's not always about most passes. It's not this. City have done that for so long and everyone's based their blueprint off that. But what Forest have done is like, no, we are what we are. We've got this solid base. But what we've got is those bits of ammunition to hit you on the break and punish teams. And they'll be trying to exploit that. There's no doubt about it.
It works, doesn't it? It's effective. It's a game plan, and as long as the game plan works, ultimately, who's bothered what the stats say come the end of it?
Yeah,
And the stats actually stack up when it comes to Forest as well. So yeah, it's been a really quite sort of enjoyable watch in a way because you alluded to it there, Luke. Like a lot of teams are saying there is only one way, and that's the Man City model, if you like, but
yeah.
clearly not. You can be effective in different ways, and yeah, Nuno's going against the grain somewhat, but very much working. In terms of sort of this game, then you alluded to it there. How do you see it going? Have you got a prediction for us at all?
I think it's going to be tight. I
Yeah.
think Forest will do what they've done so well over the last few months. I think they'll continue to do that, and I think what will play in their favour is it being at the City Ground in such a big game that they will almost be thinking, yes, it's a bit of a free hit, but also if we take something from this game, we are serious contenders moving forward. And you don't just put 6, 7 wins in a row by not being a good team, and that is what they'll be looking forward to. But I think the pressure will be on Liverpool because of the previous result. But what they have got and they will use to their advantage is the fans at the City Ground. The home fans will accept the way Forest are playing and almost invite Liverpool on and be comfortable in the fact that if they keep making blocks, if they keep stopping shots, if they keep Liverpool out of their net, when they do build that momentum for Forest, then you'll really hear the sort of atmosphere, and that'll be a difficult thing for the boys at Liverpool to deal with, I think.
Yeah, no, far from straightforward. I'm not anticipating an easy night's work, watching, whatever. It's going to be difficult. And again, as you said there, all the fans, the players, the coaching staff are all built into what they do and what they are as a football team, which makes life very difficult. But with some quality sprinkled in along the way, yeah, it's going to be a tough night, I can tell you now. But yeah, let's
It's
see what happens.
certainly, if you're a neutral, I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be a fantastic game. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
it's a fascinating one, isn't it? And as you said there, like Liverpool will want to go and sort of get a bit of revenge maybe on what happened previously. And obviously we've got our own title aspirations as they are right now. Maybe a little bit more breathing room between ourselves, yourselves, and of course Arsenal. But yeah, it's not going to be plain sailing. Let's put it that way. Luke, top man, thank you so much for your time. Massively appreciate you joining me. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care. I'll see you soon.